Good evening, fellow Reds. Thank you for joining us on a cold, blistery Monday night. Well, depending on where you are in the world, it could be lovely, sunny. But here in the UK, we've had a bit of a storm, and we're not talking about Liverpool. We're talking about the actual weather here. Thank you for joining us. This is our Monday night LFC transfer room special. I'm joined today by our illustrious guests. Dean, how are we? We're still kind of donning the Obi-Wan Kenobi Liverpool themed robe for tonight. It is cold, and I'm really jealous of it. To be fair, I want one. But how are you, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. Coming with a sickly chalupa, isn't it? Just still buzzing from the good win yesterday. It's got me through the weather for today. And I'm already thinking about the next game. Just rolling on with the Liverpool train, enjoying it, and like I say, get me through another storm tomorrow as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And then on the other side, it looks like Paul is nice and cozy. You know, t-shirt. He's done in the away kit in homage for yesterday's performance. How are you, Paul?
I'm doing very well, man. It's always nice today after a nice win.
It's
nice and warm inside. It's -13 outside, which is a beautiful day for us here.
Yeah, no, it starts the week off really nicely, doesn't it? So, well, hopefully this conversation will kind of emanate that in itself. But Carter, first time on the stream together. I'm pleased to meet you, Carter. How are you?
Yeah, it's nice to meet you as well. I'm good. As you kind of said, it's nice to wake up on a Monday after a 4-0 win. So it's gone pretty well so far today, and I'm excited to get into some of the topics that we're going to speak about today.
Yeah. Well, let's kick off. You know, let's talk about the game yesterday. I think it's fresh in our memory. We're all buzzing from that result, and you know that second half was phenomenal. But let's talk about some of the things that you thought. We'll start off kind of with Dean yourself. The first half, any thoughts really? It was just one of those games where Bournemouth were always going to be on the front foot in you know the first 10-15 minutes. But after that, was it really comfortable?
Yeah, I discussed this at half time with a few of the guys yesterday, and the first half went exactly how I thought it was going to go. You know, the weather wasn't helping. It was going to be a resilient Bournemouth who were buoyant in form, obviously missing key personnel ourselves. So I thought it was going to be a tight game, and it proved to be that way for the first 45. But we know Jurgen this season has made brilliant master strokes of decision-making, key changes in tactics at half time. And he proved it again. Second half, it just looked like a completely different team. Just moved a couple of lads around, changed the formation slightly, and we just ran all over them. We were just more intense, created more chances, and we were clinical, which was really nice to see. We've been lacking that at times this season, especially away from home. That's why we dropped some points, but not this time. Potential banana skin was just thrown out the window. We just steamrolled them, and it was great to see.
Yeah, no, it was a really good win. Carter, I'll come to you. What were your thoughts about Klopp and his second? You know, the break is always important for us as a team, and Klopp has his ability. You know, he's found a bit of a renaissance in terms of coaching ability. It's never been in doubt his coaching ability, has it? But this season seems to be really kind of emphasizing how good of a coach he is. He gets the lads in at halftime, and he just does. He says something that absolutely works miracles. What are your thoughts?
I think I think he has I think it's easier now for him to make those changes because you don't have certain players like before. It's quite difficult to take one of the front three off or a midfielder because they probably look and I'm that much better, or Klopp might look and say there's such a drop off from one of those guys. So now Klopp is kind of a lot of them, apart from like Salah, you'd all say the attackers are quite on like are viewed quite evenly. So there's a lot more changing, and I think he's time sort of bringing the young players on at the right time, not having too many on, and sort of giving everyone like a platform to be successful. And it was quite interesting when he sort of said about like, because obviously Paul's in America, but on the Sky coverage, he obviously said like we had to change it. We were too static. We moved Nunes into the middle. So I think it is just Klopp, and it might be Linders because obviously Linders gets lots of stick, but I think they are now looking and they're changing things rather than going just plan A, and stick Origi on for 10 minutes. It is more now like change a system, change a shape, move someone here, move someone there. So Klopp's done really well, yeah.
Klopp's probably the best manager in the league who's taken on the mantle of using substitutions, isn't he? You know, I would probably say that Pep has learnt a lot from Klopp throughout this whole season. You're seeing more and more that Pep is making substitutions that are making impacts. Kevin De Bruyne, obviously, the other day, didn't he? When he came on, changed the game against Newcastle. They won it, gutted for us, but that's what we're seeing. Klopp has done that throughout the whole of the season, seeing players come in. You know, Harvey Elliott, Palace, we probably shouldn't have won that game, should we? But Harvey Elliott, did he start the game? But the substitution,
he came on.
He came on, didn't he? And his role coming on, a bit more energy, scoring the winner and stuff like that. I mean, that's the main thing, isn't it? Klopp has really found his feet this season. Last season probably hurt him a lot. I don't know what you think there, Carter.
Yeah, I think last season was difficult. I think that's always sort of been the thing of where maybe he's been too nice and kept things together too much and not shaking it up. Like Pep not drops, but Riyad Mahrez had a great season, integral to the treble, and he lets him leave. Like Klopp's not really that type of manager, but I think now he's got all these changes, so he's had to do it. But also, you think yesterday, apart from what Gakpo and Gravenberch, there weren't that many senior players on the bench, and he still timed things well. He still took the right player off. Like Gravenberch came on, and I thought he played really well. I thought he took people on, and he sort of dropped them in at the right stage of the game, and we sort of continue to kick on and get more goals. Because sometimes City win like 6 or 7-0, but a lot of the time I feel like we go up 3-0, and then for the next 40 minutes we don't score. But that's me. I think he's done. It's easy when you've got all those players, but when like the last few weeks people are getting injured and stuff, I think Klopp's really shown how good he is.
Yeah. So Paul, there's two thoughts I want to actually continue with talking about this one. So the first one, there's a really amazing image of Virgil, Alisson, and Konate just walking back, just talking to each other at the end of the game. How integral is those three players for what we're trying to do? You know, Konate was brilliant yesterday. There's an argument that he could be possibly the best defender, central back in the league at the moment. But you know, in terms of even being second, he's so good being that number 2 to Virgil, isn't he?
Oh yes. We all know that Salah is important, but I think Van Dijk and that partnership, Van Dijk and Konate, is critical if we're going to challenge for the league this year. I would dare say even more important than Salah on the right wing there, because we haven't gotten a lot of stick about our defense, but we are the best defensive team in the league right now, due to no small part from these three players. Having the best goalkeeper in the league, and also having, in my opinion, the best defensive pairing in the league, that probably is even the greater reason why we are number 1 in the league right now. You know, sometimes I hear a lot of pundits talk about William Saliba. Literally every best 11 I've seen so far year to date would have Saliba as the centre back in terms of best 11 so far this year. And for the life of me, I don't see Saliba as a better defender than Konate, right? And there is a reason why Konate starts ahead of Saliba in the French team. So those three players are really, really very integral. And every time I see them play, I'm just praying that they don't get an injury, because we're gonna need them 100%.
I was really, really worried when Konate went down with that.
Yes, me too.
I dreaded. And the point was when Gomez went over, had a word with him, and Gomez made the signal to the bench, didn't he, about the twist, whether that was a knee twist or an ankle twist. I was just like, that's, my heart, sank at that point. But those were really, really, those three players are brilliant. How good was it that we saw a really young player making his debut? Bradley looking so comfortable. Got his first assist as well. So he's always obviously buzzing, playing against world class, playing with world class defenders. But then Joe Gomez, we're talking about Joe a lot in the last few weeks and how good he's been. But those fullbacks have been really, really crucial to allow us to perform so well. Is that right, Paul?
Oh, absolutely. And as fans, even me myself, I'm very guilty of this. We always spend a lot of our time and energy talking about transfers, looking at other players at other teams. You say, okay, we should pay 50 million for this guy, 60 for that, 70 for that. But sometimes I think we need to be a little bit more patient and trust the team, because we have some very good players in our academy. I did not know that Bradley was this good. I know it's a talent, but until you see them playing at the highest level in the Premier League against top opponents, it's kind of hard to really judge. And last year, this time, we were calling out, oh, we need a right back to push strength in the middle. We need a centre back. We didn't know about Kwanzaa. Well, we know about him. We didn't know it was this good, right? We didn't know Bradley was this good. Even the other guy on the left side there, name slipping out, that left footer, left back there. He came on late yesterday.
Owen Beck.
Yeah, he seems to be a player, right? So I'm not against spending money on transfers, but if we have these players, we have to, give them a chance to shine. Everybody's calling out for a 6, or we need to go play 60, 70, 80 million for Joao Paulino. Again, it's difficult for me to say don't do it, but then we have Bajcetic. Stefan, if we believe that he is the answer at the number 6 position, what is he, 19, 20? And we have Endo for a year or two just to carry us over until that point. I think we should probably just be a little bit more patient, because there's no question that the talent in the academy is there and it's real. And I am very excited for the next 4 or 5 years for this team. I'm just hoping that our manager will stay along and doesn't leave us for the German national team as rumored.
Yeah, let's hope not. I've got a feeling that he'll sign a new contract. I think he's buzzing. I think he's seen something new in terms of the team, the quality of players that are coming through, and everyone seems in sync again. But I'll come to you, Dean. Let's talk about the other end of the pitch. How happy were you with the efforts of our front three yesterday? Each of them contributing in some way. Gapco came on as well and looked really lively. But what were your thoughts about the front three?
Yeah, they were fantastic. This is what the main focus was when Salah went to AFCON initially. We were thinking, right, can these lads step up now? We haven't got our main creator in the front three. And obviously, since Trent has also dropped out with an injury for a short while, we're thinking, can we create our chances? Can we get the goals we need? And they've all stepped up. That's the key thing with the squad. When we've had to rely on people to step up, they have. And you can't really knock them at all. Yesterday, I think they all contributed in some way or form. Jota, clinical as ever, but also setting up a chance for Núñez. Núñez, when he moved to the centre, I know he's always had his critics of being in the centre. We liked him on the left. But I think it's horses for courses. He's played central in the second half and he was brilliant. He was an absolute presence up front. And then when Gakpo came on, he was brilliant himself. He created opportunities. So we're at that stage, even though we would love to have Salah back, we're sitting there going, well, if Salah needs that couple of weeks rest or a couple of weeks to get back to 100% fitness, let him have it, because right now we're quite happy to have the front three, and that's a testament to how much they have stepped up. So I couldn't be much happier at the moment.
I think Núñez, his second goal, if you think about the fine margins for that goal itself, if it was a few more inches the other way, would have hit the post, wouldn't it? It obviously came off the inside of the post, but the clinicalness of that goal itself compared to his other chances where he's missed and he's hit the post or whatnot, it's a matter of inches when it comes to Núñez. He could be either banging in, that would have been the 15th, 16th goal of the season, but we're talking about his 10th. It's just those fine margins, isn't it, with Núñez? But yesterday, I think playing on the left, and I don't know if you agree, if anyone else agrees or disagrees, please just shout up. But playing on the left allows him to be more expressive, and getting that goal kind of took the pressure away. to allow him when he moved into the middle to ease up. He's not snatching on at that. I don't know what you think, but if anyone else agrees, Carter, Paul, just speak up. If you disagree, let me know what your thoughts.
Well, what I really like about this setup, especially yesterday, is the way the guys float. If you just say, okay, Nunes down the middle, Diaz, you hug the left touch line, there's kind of a predictability about the attack sometimes that allow defenders to, try to get the right position. But when you have the guys switching, you have Jota, he's in the middle, then the next attacking phase, he's on the right. You have Nunes all over the place. That is what I want to see. I'm not too happy with Diaz over the last couple of games. I think he's coming inside too much and not providing the width on his side. So I would probably love to see Gakpo get a start over Diaz for the next game. But that's just me. I'm not sure if everybody have the same sentiment. But for Nunes, if we're going to say he's chaos, he should be given the rein to drift, go with the flow. Depending on where the possession is, hang the left touch line or come inside. But the guy, I love the guy, I love the guy. Sometimes I think he thinks too much, but when he's in the middle, I just love him. And I just think he might just be turning the corner. And I would not be surprised if he go on a run of scoring in the next 3-4 games. I really like him a lot.
Yeah.
But I am not too stuck up on whether he should play down the middle or he should be on the left. I think he should just switch and just go with the flow.
Yeah, no, I agree. So Carter, we're going to stick with that point. With the front three that we had yesterday, they are really, really fluid, aren't they? So you couldn't, as a defending team, pinpoint that Nunes is just going to stick to the left throughout the 90 minutes. Is he? Jota can play on the left. Diaz obviously started on the left in his career with Liverpool, but just the overall kind of fluid formation in that front three kind of scares opposition. I don't know. Is it more fluid to have those front three than having Mo who sticks up predominantly on the left? Is that a bit of a an iffy question? But I don't know. What do you think?
I think sort of on the left, there's a bit more sort of mixing. Like I always think Nunes sort of likes to go out left a bit, and especially with sort of the guys you've got like Jota and Gakpo, they're willing to sort of drift. And I do know what you mean, but I think we're maybe better overall when it's a lot more drifting. But it's better to have Mo in the team. Like even if it's slightly more predictable, and sometimes Salah not go missing, but he might not get the ball that much for 20-30 minutes. I think we are better like that. But I do think it's like interesting how we sort of move forward now, because I think when Jota's in the middle, I think he likes to drift out a bit and sort of pick up little pockets, and I think Gakpo likes to come quite deep. So I think at least if you have Nunes sort of primarily in the middle, sort of going each way, you have like a body in the box a lot of the time. Because I thought in the first half sometimes we put it into an area and no one would be really in the box, which I think was a bit of an issue. Like I think Jota's much better when you sort of have him play off like another striker. Like I didn't watch it, but I'm assuming that's kind of what, as he was sort of mentioned, like by Jamie Carragher last night, like Owen played a bit off Heskey. You had like Chicharito normally played off another striker, or like you want Jota to be able to float and go in different spaces rather than being like static up front. But I think, the moving around's good. As Paul said, I like to see Gakpo over Diaz, though, to be honest, now at this point.
Yeah, it is an interesting one. And I saw an average player position, where they're actually found on the pitch. I saw it in a review this morning. And it was interesting, and I'll come to you, Dean, about this point. It's about the midfield. Jota actually plays pretty much like a fourth midfielder. He was closer to Curtis Jones than Nunes. I don't know if that is something that is key. Jota's actually quite quietly influential. He scores the goals because he's really clinical. But what we've actually seen, this is how I perceive it anyway, is Jota's ability to drop off and just cause a little bit of havoc. He runs with the ball really well, and is actually quite a good playmaker. But I don't know if you got any thoughts on that.
Yeah, well, I must admit about Jota, I don't know about you guys, but towards the start of the season when he was playing on the left, he was very much a moment player for me. He would disappear on the left side. But he would score. That we really missed that when he was injured. But I feel like in this last few games, especially since he's come back, he's been so intelligent with his creativity. I'd say with him dropping deeper, he's picking up them pockets. He's allowing other players to run in behind. He's generating space for other players. Every time I watch him, it doesn't look like he's going to lose the ball. Even though he's surrounded, you just feel confident he's going to get past somebody. He's going to create, like, say, space for Nunes or Gakpo or Diaz if he's playing. It's world class. It's borderline, elite, and his finishing's elite anyway. So this could be like the next evolution as such of Jota, and that's exciting because that's another element to the game, to his game. It's another weapon in our armory. And that also allows him, he could play on that right-hand side, because I remember when we first signed him, and then he was quality on the left, he was really good up front, but when we shoved him on the right, he was poor, it didn't suit him. So I don't know if his game has changed over the last season or something, but when he played on the right yesterday, it suited him because the players were drawn towards him all the time because they know how clinical he can be. But that allowed Nunes to play his game. He didn't have everyone around him. He had space to move. And as soon as he got them chances, albeit he had to take his chances very quickly. But that's what Nunes does best. When he has no time, he does actually finish his chances better when he does have time. So them two as a partnership could be quite interesting, especially over the next few weeks while Mo's out of action. And even going forward, it, like I say, just adds into the weapon for us going forward.
Yeah. And we'll finish on yesterday's mini review. We'll go on to what you just mentioned there, the key player, Mo. And I've mentioned it in the title of the video, The Return of the King. Very Lord of the Rings, but there is a bit of hope there, isn't there? Carter, I'll come to you first about Mo Salah. So the update that we've had from his agent in a tweet or X post, whatever you want to call it these days, is that Mo wouldn't be available for next 2 games. Actually, it's going to be a minimum of 21 days. Is that comforting? Is that worrying in the sense of he'll be out for at least 3 weeks? Then you got to add in kind of recovery time, training days, etc., etc. Are you worried about the games that he would be missing?
I'd be slightly not worried, but a bit worried about Arsenal because I'd say it was probably easier with him than without him. But I think it's kind of interesting because obviously I didn't really realize, but Egypt have obviously been so successful at AFCON. Like I think it's like 7 AFCONs, and I can't remember his name, but there's a guy who sort of played in Egypt most of his career, and he sort of won them loads of AFCONs. So over in Egypt, he's sort of lauded as their best player instead of Salah, even though Salah's gone and done Champions League and probably scored the most foreign goals out of any Premier League player. But I actually think it might be that he might be back quicker. It's just because he's got so much stick. I think that the agents come out and said the worst possible case. Because if that's 3 weeks from when the injury occurred, he could be back a bit quicker than we think.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, because there's no way you're going to say he could be 2 weeks, because if he's not 2 weeks, then he'll get even more stick. It'll be like, so I think he's sort of done it like that. So I also think with Trent, Sobo and Robertson are all sort of back in training now-ish kind of thing. So as long as we have sort of those guys, I think Trent for Arsenal is the big one. He's sort of the guy who, even last season, he sort of wins us those games. So I think as long as sort of Trent's back and hopefully Curtis Jones is not injured, I'd give us a very good chance.
Yeah. So I mean, let's have a look at the fixtures actually. So if we're thinking best case scenario, it's a couple of weeks, and today's the 22nd. Best case scenario, he'll be back for the Sunday the 4th, which is the trip away to Arsenal. Is that too soon? If not, Paul, do you think he'd be back for that one, or are we looking at the Burnley game, which is the 10th of February? optimistic to more kind of bring him back for that match?
Knowing how Klopp is extremely careful with his players, um, they will definitely not rush Salah back. But one other thing I like about this team, if you look at the 2019-2020 team, which is when Liverpool was really in their pump, we had a fantastic 11. For me, Sadio Mane, Mo Salah, and then in the middle of the park we have Hendo, Wijnaldum, Fabinho. We had a very good 11, but if one or two players got injured, then we were in trouble because the drop off to the next player in line was significant. Look at this team right now. We don't have that problem. We have 5 front players. Any 3 we play is quality. The drop off between the Salah and the next person is not as great as it was a couple of years ago. Same thing in the midfield. We have 6-7 players. We can play any 3. So I am not really worried. Of course, we don't want Salah to miss a lot of games because he's our best player going forward. But I think we have enough firepower in that team that if we have to, I think we can beat Arsenal without Mo Salah again. I mean, I would like him to be there, of course, but I think we can beat Arsenal. We can certainly beat Chelsea coming up. So we'll just have to wait and see. But I am not worried at all. I think even if we should lose him for an extended period of time, I have a lot of confidence in the other 4 guys, with Szoboszlai coming back, Trent, that we can win some games. And with our defense as stingy as it is, I'm more comfortable than I should have been if talking about Mo Salah being absent. So I think we'll be fine.
Yeah. I'm just going to come back to Ian's point and the question. Egypt are playing tonight, and they're starting in 4 minutes. 4 minutes time. They are playing Cape Verde. Cape Verde top of the league with 6 points. Egypt second, having played 2 with 2 points, and obviously Ghana and Mozambique are playing each other. If Egypt were to lose, and obviously Ghana win, Ghana go up to 4 points, and essentially leaves a last match. No, actually they'll be out tonight, wouldn't they? So it's going to be really
3. I think 3 of the best 3rd place teams go through, right. 3 or 4.
Yeah. So that so it's going to be interesting to see if they do proceed with the tournament.
Are you hoping that Egypt lose, Charlie?
If I'm being a Liverpool supporter, of course, why not?
It's a terrible situation to be as a supporter because we want Egypt to do well because we love Mo Salah, but at the same time, being Liverpool supporters, we wouldn't really want to see him go back. So it's a tough spot.
It is. I mean, I don't want to get into the conversation about internationals, but I certainly within the footballing season, I have zero interest for international football. I don't know if anyone else agrees. If the guys in the comments, say yes or no, whether they agree. I have zero interest. I couldn't care less. But when it comes to summer football, it's a different story because there's no football on, so I'll watch it, and it's nice to get behind the boys. If they do well, if they don't, whatever. I'm just looking forward to August pre-season, whatnot. But any type of international football, couldn't care less. It's a simple point. I don't know if anyone else agrees. I think that's predominantly all Liverpool supporters.
Yeah, I know Klopp wouldn't come out and say it, but if Egypt lose today and get knocked out, I'm sure he would not be crying.
No, exactly. Let's get him back. Let's get him fit. And the thing is, Dean, when it comes to Mo's fitness, he is the fittest guy at the club, isn't he? He looks after himself really, really well. Hopefully, it was a case of he just felt it, and so he's taking worst case scenario, looking after himself, and the recovery time is actually shorter than those 3 weeks. Well, we're talking about Carter, weren't we? But Dean, I don't know what you think. Hopefully, that's the case.
Yeah, I think he's only missed like 8 games in 6 years, something obscene. It's crazy, his fitness record. It's superhuman almost. I think there's some multi-dimensional things going on with this whole Salah Egypt thing. I think I'm hoping his injury is not that serious, but it could be a case of, Luke, even if he's 50% fit, Egypt will play him. You can guarantee he's the best player by a mile. And I think Jurgen's like, right, get him home, play on it, get him home. Oh, we've got the best equipment. We have got the best medical equipment. Of course we have. Play on that, get him back. And if there is any chance of you getting fit for us, then Brill. And hopefully Egypt get knocked out in that time. Because I just know, as soon as they said he's missing, he'll miss 2 games. But now all of a sudden his agent's like, no, it's actually more serious. Did they know it was more serious than just saying, oh, he'll be all right in a couple of games? Because you know what they're like. They aren't bothered if he ends up getting seriously hurt down the line because their tournament will be done by that point.
Yeah.
And
so
to be honest...
Oh, sorry. Go on.
Yeah, just a quick one. To be honest, the way they treat him, considering he is probably their best player ever, especially like stats-wise, I think it's disgusting how some international teams treat their star players, especially when someone like Salah's stature. And I'm hoping Jurgen's just put his foot down and say, get him home. Get him home. I'm thinking of him. And rightfully so.
Yeah. And interesting, I was just about to say about the AFCON final. It's on the 11th of February, which kind of coincides with that game against Burnley, isn't it? It's kind of on the 10th, that game. So, yeah, I can't see Egypt getting that far with even, without their main man. So, to come back to your point there, Paul, I wouldn't be crying if they go out. So let's see how they get on. So we'll kind of stop with the Mo talk. Let's see how the next couple of weeks go. Hopefully he'll be back. We'll see his smiling face in training, and he kind of surprises us all. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back earlier. But let's go back to other kind of injury news. And Carter, I'm going to come to you because you did mention it earlier on. You spoke about Szoboszlai, Trent, Robbo. There was a tweet that I read somewhere that actually could be back in full training next week.
Oh,
did you see that? Did you? Yeah, like how massive would that be for us as a club, and considering the injury list that we have had and the youth products that were on the bench yesterday, it's massive for us in that kind of key period leading up to Chelsea, Arsenal, Man City as well coming up sooner than we probably realise as well. Yeah,
I think it's really good. I think the one who might not come back into the team is maybe Robbo, because obviously I don't know if you lot have seen all sort of the Joe Gomez stuff that was coming out today, which I thought was quite funny.
I love it. But
I hope he continues at left back. I think he's been great, and I think he's inverted really well. But I think Trent now, it's the most, like, I don't want to sort of talk rubbish about the previous midfielders because he's not a midfielder, but I do now feel it's like since Gerrard, I was quite young. I started watching the year before we went to the Europa League final, Europa League semi-final. So I saw the end of Gerrard. I saw the sort of dropping deeper, when you properly watch it. And this is since Trent's come in, he's the first guy. Obviously, Thiago does it in a different way, but you're like, this guy, he's the midfielder. He wins you games. He leads on the pitch. And I think, as well as Conor Bradley played, I did think, oh, these positions he's getting in, imagine if this was Trent. And he just gives you a whole other way to attack, 60-yard balls. I think if Trent comes back, even Szoboszlai is great to come back because we get a bit of size instead of Elliott. But I think Trent's the main one. Trent, Van Dijk, Alisson, Salah. I think as long as you have Alisson and Van Dijk, you just need one of Salah or Trent, and you're probably going to win the game.
Yeah, I agree. And this is, Connor did really, really well, didn't he, yesterday? But those position, I didn't really think about that. I just kind of happy the way that Connor was actually playing yesterday. But thinking about it, if Trent was there, maybe those positions, the balls that he was playing, maybe a different outcome. Who knows? But I'll come to you, Dean, about continuing. So Trent's been covered. Szoboszlai, how important is he actually coming back next week with the midfield, with Curtis Jones potentially having done his hamstring? It seems like one in, one out with the current squad. But how massive is Szoboszlai coming back into the team?
Well, he was our best midfielder the first few weeks of the season, at least. I think it's massive to have him back. He's our best presser of the ball. And another hidden side of it, he'll allow Harvey Elliott potentially, I know some people don't like it, to play on that right-hand side, because when Harvey Elliott played on the right and Szoboszlai played in midfield, it was the best game Harvey's had on that right-hand side. It allowed Szoboszlai to bomb forward, and they linked up really well together. So it gives us another option. I love Sobo. I think he's absolutely class, and he's only 22, which is ridiculous. He reminds me of a. I know Trent reminds us of a Gerard Aruka with his passing and his vision's ridiculous as well. But Szoboszlai reminds me of Gerard's athleticism, the way he can bomb into the box, and his strength and his work rate, and obviously he's the new number 8. It would be great to have him back. Luckily, he's only, was it 2 or 3 weeks he was out for, so hopefully his actual training time shouldn't take too long to get back to full fitness. Same with Trent, with it only been a couple of weeks for him. But as you mentioned, with Curtis Jones potentially being out, we don't know how long for. Hopefully it's nothing serious. Hopefully it's just like a precaution, because I think he's our most vital midfielder at the moment. In all honesty, I think he is the first name on the team sheet. But having Sobo back really helps, not just with numbers, but in terms of quality of the midfield. And we're going to need that. We've got a lot of games coming up, another 4 in the next 2 weeks. So, yeah, we're going to need him.
Yeah. And we'll stick with the returning players. I'll come to you, Paul. I know we've kind of like spoken about Joe Gomez, but let's kind of add in that aspect of what Carter said earlier about Robbo coming back. If Robbo is fully fit, back up and running, who do you choose? Who do you go with? Do you go with the in-form Joe Gomez, who's done really, really well, and or do you go with Andy Robertson playing on the left? Is that something you want? Who would you go for?
It's crazy that we're having this kind of conversation. Just go to show the depth of the team, the squad right now, right? Who would have believed that Joe Gomez is so far ahead of Tsimikas as a backup for the left back situation, being a right footer? But then how do you drop Joe Gomez? The guy has been faultless over the last 5-6 games. As a matter of fact, for the entire season. But then Robbo is our left back. So what do you do? I think it horses for courses, because if you want a natural left back playing in the usual left back role, bombing down that left side and putting that ball in the 6-yard box, then Robbo is obviously the better player for that position. But on the other hand, if you're going to have Trent inverted into that midfield to be beside that number 6 in that sort of double pivot, then that left back would find himself dropping more like a back 3. So then Gomez would suit that role a little bit better, because he's a better defender as a centre back than Robbo. So it's really a difficult call. I agree with Dean that Curtis Jones should be the first name on the team sheet, right? But then when you look at Sobo coming back, he has to play if everybody's fit. Okay, Maka has to play, in my opinion, because he is probably one of our best number 8. Yes,
Maka was brilliant.
Okay. So does that mean Endo falls to the bench? It's really a good problem to have. And I really don't envy the manager for having that kind of problem. Harvey Elliott deserves a start, and don't forget Gravenberch. So I can't remember in my lifetime, and I'm not young, that we have had this kind of a squad where you can play any 11 from 17 players, and it doesn't seem to affect the strength of the team. But if we are playing Man City tomorrow, I would, and everybody's fit, I probably would play Joe Gomez, because I think he would be required to sit more in that back 3 with Konate playing on the right with Trent inverted. So, but it's hard, man. It's hard. But Robbo, I love the guy so much as well. But as I said, depending on who you're playing. And what it does, though, is it gives the manager so much option. And Klopp is one of the best halftime and in-game manager in football. So the fact that he can look at the game and change it, and it has the players in which to come on, that is why I think we have a very good chance of going all the way this year. So the squad is really, really good.
Yeah.
And we haven't even mentioned Thiago.
There was something mentioned today, wasn't there? But he got deleted really, really quickly. Dave O'Cop, whatever his name is, he kind of put out there that Thiago's back in training. But I think, he quickly deleted that once he got confirmed that he wasn't quite ready just yet. But let's kind of stop with that kind of topic. I think it's positive that the guys are coming back just at the right time. I think it's crucial for us to kind of see out January, get into February, see where we are, get those players back. But we'll talk about some links now, in and out. There's been, it is a slow news day, as usual at this time of year. So please bear with us when we talk about these two links. They're both from one club, Bayern Munich. So Leroy Sané has been linked with, and the word was replacing Mo Salah. Exactly, Paul. We're probably going to go with that one anyway. But I didn't like the word replacing, and I didn't like the name Mo Salah. It's not going to happen. But Leroy Sané was supposedly linked with a move to Liverpool in the summer. Dean, I'm pretty sure I know what your thoughts are, but let's hear it out. What are your thoughts about Leroy Sané joining Liverpool to replace Mo Salah?
It's the next Mo Salah, mate. Sign him up. No. I think it's an easy link just because Klopp's admired him in the past when he was at City. He is a good player. He's got quite some questionable attitude problems. He's always had a fight. Was Mane, wasn't it? He had a bit of a bust up with when he was at Bayern. It's a no-go. If you asked me about 3 or 4 months ago, I probably would have taken it. But the fact that the lads we've got at the moment are performing admirably, more than fine. And I think it's just just a no from me.
Yeah.
Just on that basis.
I'll ask the guys in the comments, please just shout out whether you think Leroy Sané to Liverpool is a good thing or a bad thing. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Let's kind of hear your thoughts as well. Carter, your thoughts? I'll ask you. What do you think?
I think it's quite interesting because I've just had a look and he's on a lot. It looks like he's on a lot of money, which we might not be able to give him, about 384,000 euros a week. But it says deal expires on June 2025, and he's got 8 goals and 10 assists in the league in 1,476 minutes. So if you were maybe we've seen Klopp sign a few older guys before, some being very good players, some being Ragnar Klavan. But I mean, maybe if you look to move Diaz on and Klopp's now got a lot more power at the club, maybe you do see 1 or 2 more sort of, not older, but he's 28, newly 28. So maybe Klopp looks at it and goes, this is a signing I want. I'm going to be here for 3 or 4 more years. And you up the team, you give us that competitive edge. I think we'd be a much better team with him on the left and Salah on the right and Nunes in the middle. So it'd be something I'd welcome, definitely.
Yeah, so Ian come back with a thumbs down. I think we agree with that. But yeah, actually, you just mentioned about his contract, isn't it? So it's coming up for renewal end of next year. So is it just one of those tenuous links that if you put your client's name out, the agent and the club can then start negotiating for a new, better deal? It may be that, and we've seen before, not to our extent, normally at United's expense, all these players and all their fans get really excited, about players coming in. But for us, it's not one that we're probably going to go with. And we've already got Paul's kind of decision about whether he wants Leroy Sané at the club.
No. First of all, I'm very confident that Salah is going to extend his contract with us, maybe for another 2-3 years. The fact that guys like Hendo and all the other guys Benzema not seem to be enjoying themselves in the Saudi Pro League, that's a plus for us. That's a warning for other stars here who are thinking of going. So I don't think we'll have a position for Sané because Salah is going nowhere. That's my opinion. And even if Salah was going, I'm not sure he would be my first choice either. First of all, the guy is on a ton of money. So he's going to come in. If you're going to come in and be earning 400k a week, you better be Mbappe, right? And he's not Mbappe. And again, he's 27, 28. maybe he has another 2 or 3 good years in him, but I don't know. I think he's too hot and cold. When he's hot, he's a top player. But then sometimes when he's cold, he's just sulk a lot to me. I'm not really a big fan of Leroy Sané to be fair. So maybe I'm a little bit biased against him. But I don't see him as the kind of player that would fit in a Liverpool dressing room. So it's a big no for me. I would prefer us spending 30-35 million and get a young winger, a young winger too, rather than to go for Sané. So for me, it's a big no.
Yeah, I agree. Carter, I'm going to come back to you about this one because you threw out some really good links. Leon Goretzka, hopefully you got some information about him, about the contract and how much he's going to be. I'm gonna keep on talking while I let you look at that.
Yeah.
But there was a conversation again, another tenuous link to Leon Goretzka coming in after having a bit of a dispute with Tuchel, who I've got a view about Tuchel as manager. I don't think he's as good as what people make him out to be, and considering that he can't win, he was lucky to win the league last year and he's struggling this year. Maybe he's just been found out. But Carter, what you got for me, mate?
Well, so this is from FB Ref, so it is quite reliable for a lot of things. So it says another massive contract, basically just over 340,000 euros a week, and his deal's till 2026, and he's going to turn 29, and I think it looks like the next 16 days or something.
Right.
So he's probably one. I've watched him. I thought in the treble, he looked. I actually don't think he didn't play that much, did he? It was Thiago and Kimmich quite a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
I think in some games, I know they've got worse, but he's never been like when you watch Germany, because we all don't watch that. Realistically, I don't watch that many Bayern Munich games.
Yeah.
When I've seen him in Germany for the Germany national team, I have never really been impressed. I've never gone, wow. I think even Kimmich hasn't done that well for them. Kroos has always looked really good, but he's someone where I think he's a bit of a FIFA guy. He's a bit, because he's good on like video games and people online think he's really good. Whereas I think he's like a bit overrated, where some people are going to be underrated. Like Wijnaldum's probably a bit underrated compared to Goretzka. Like I think they're not too far apart in ability.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd never see, I know PSG did, but a normal team is never giving Wijnaldum that much money. So I think there's definitely like a link between the agent trying to get a bit more money with us. I could definitely maybe see, like, I don't even think someone like Man United now are going to be interested because they've actually got some competent people in there. So I just think it's definitely throwing out names, and we need a six. He's not really a six. Yeah. He's definitely not a lone six. Like, I just think it's just putting a name out there and just hoping we'll to draw up interest, basically.
Yeah, probably one of those. Yeah. I guess kind of Dean. I'll come to you about this one first before I go back to Paul. But again, is it a player that we actually need? His age, the profile, the wage, whatnot. Is he something that we actually would entertain, or do we go down the kind of Gravenberch route if we are ever going to look at midfield again in the near future? Someone that's going to replace Thiago in the squad. Is Leon Goretzka the answer?
It literally goes everything against the model we try to put in at the club. They've always said from the start, we don't want older players on big contracts to come in. We'll make exceptions for world-class players like we did with Thiago. Yes, granted, it hasn't 100% worked out because of his injuries, but on piece of paper, you take that risk because his fee was relatively low. Goretzka's not world-class. I've not been impressed with him. The only last time I was impressed with him was at Schalke when he was a wonder kid, basically, and then he joined Bayern. I don't see where he would fit in. It makes no sense. I wouldn't even put him in our team as a starting 11 player either. So you don't want someone like that with that much money on the bench. I think if we're going to get a midfielder in summer, it's going to be a young player, someone who could play as a 6 and an 8, because that just makes sense. I think we're very set on Bajcetic going forward in the coming seasons, and Endo and McAllister will be the go-to in between for now. Yeah, it just, like I say, makes absolutely zero sense. It sounds like, I want a bigger contract offer from Bayern, or I want someone like PSG or someone like Man United to come in and give me an offer, and that's it. Unfortunately, as is average for what we are now, and that's how good we are. To look at like someone like Goretzka and just go, "You're not good enough, mate. Nowhere near."
Yeah. I remember when he was making that potential move to Bayern Munich when he was still Schalke, and we were linked with him at that point. I think it would have been a good move at that point for him to move to Liverpool, but he just chose to go to the an easier option, go to Bayern Munich. It seems like that with PSG, with Bayern Munich, they just vacuum up all the best players from rivals. So yeah, I'm not surprised with that. Paul, is it a thumbs up? Is it a thumbs down for you on Leon Goretzka? Is it the top again? Kind of the same question. Is he the type of player do you think we should be going for, considering the players that we have?
Older players and big money is not the kind of profile that we are going for. Yes, we signed Endo and he's like 30, but we pay like 18 million for him and he's like 50K a week, right? And we know if we get 2 years of Endo until Bachetic is ready, then that's money well spent. But older players and big money is not it's not the way we're going. We all know the problems we had last year when everybody just seemed to run out of legs. Fabinho, Henderson, everybody just get so those kind of players. There was a lot of talk about Nicola Barella in the summer, and that was my argument. Older players and big money is not the profile that the team is looking for. So when I see these links, sometimes I don't even bother. I just look at them as clickbait. I don't even read some of them. And I don't think he's world class either. I think he's a good player, but not 400,000 a week. So, as I said, no chance.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm pretty sure everyone on the in the comments kind of agrees as well. But there's been a couple of youth prospects that are at Liverpool that have been linked with moves to Leeds. The first player is Calvin Ramsey, and then the second player, and I do apologise if I get this completely wrong. So it's Musialowski. So he's the young Hungarian player, I believe. That's been linked with a move to Leeds. So I think it's really unfortunate. We'll come to you, Carter, for Calvin Ramsey. He's only played a couple of games, I think, this season. He's been really unlucky with possibly injuries, or because he's gone to the club, the loan club, as a youth prospect, and also being on loan. Maybe the manager at that point just hasn't kind of fancied him. I don't know what your thoughts are. If you have any more kind of insight as to what happened there, but thoughts?
I think for Ramsey it's a bit of a difficult one. I think maybe if you'd have said to all of us a year and a half ago, maybe who do we think would we maybe be playing games for Liverpool, Conor Bradley or Calvin Ramsey? Obviously, I don't know if anyone watches the youth games, but I think we probably would have said Calvin Ramsey, considering he was signed for whatever £1 million. And I just think sometimes young players just get quite unlucky. Like, he's not particularly big, but I think he's not small. Like, I think he's got a lot more weight to him than someone like Conor Bradley. And when you start picking up those sort of recurring like niggles, and it's like, I think we signed him and he had an injury problem. He came back, he got injured. I think sometimes you can ride it out a bit. Like someone like Konate had a few issues when he was younger. He still does have them now, but lots of players sometimes have them and can come out of them. But then you look at someone like Reece James, and he just keeps getting injured. So I think it's just difficult. I think maybe you look at it and say, we keep him, just give him a proper rehabilitation, and then you make a decision for next year. Maybe you let him go, maybe you let him stay. But I think we just need to let him get to 100%. And also probably, I know it's not playing games, but playing in training against Salah, against Jota, against Gakpo, against Nunes is good. It's not like you're not playing for, like, I don't want to say Brentford or Wolves, but the quality of players you're playing in training is high. So you still are going to improve. You're not just going to have like match experience. But I think, I just feel a bit sorry for him, to be honest.
Yeah, he came to the club, and I don't know if it's an oversight from our medical team, but he had that knee injury, didn't he? So something that was picked up, and straight away he signed for the club, and then straight away he was pulled out. He had knee surgery, and that just kept him out for the whole season. That's just knocked him back for such a long
Yeah,
time, and he struggled to get any type of minutes in his legs, whether it's youth team football, under 23s, loan moves, etc. He's just been really, really unlucky. I don't know. Is there any hope for him, Paul, to make a career at Liverpool, or is he just do we kind of sell him, try to get the best price as soon as possible, and we just part ways?
It's so hard. I really feel it for some of these young players because it's really difficult. Should we sell them? Should we keep them with the first team? Should we send them out on loan? I can make an argument for either. Because yes, when they are with the team and they're training among top class players, you would think that's good for their development. But on the other hand, they'll be sitting on the bench a lot, and young players needs to play. So I am more leaning towards sending them out on loan. When you look at players like Tyler Morton, that's playing holding midfielder for Hull City. Even Carvalho is there now. These are very talented players, right? But having them sitting on the bench here with the first team, probably not the best thing for them because we have a lot of players. So, and it is hard to really judge and know if these guys will have a future with the first team if we don't have the minutes to give them, right? So, and the last thing you want to do is to sell a player, and then in 3-4 years he's a world beater, and then just scratching your heads. So that's the dilemma, So, and then send them out on loan if they are not playing or they're not playing with a top quality team. That also might hinder their development. So it's a catch-22. So I guess you're gonna hit and miss on some. That's the unfortunate situation that we are in. But they have to play. They need to play. So I think we should just send them on loan and insist that they get playing time. That's all we can do, really. Because, as I said, just having them sitting in the first team and not playing is probably not the ideal thing either.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll move on to the other player there, Dean, Matthias Musliowski. And I apologize, he's Polish, not Hungarian. So my mistake. So in terms of this season, he's really, really kind of exciting player, wasn't he? He was dubbed, whatever he was, next Messi, or the next Polish Messi.
How old is he?
He's only 20. But yeah, he's still got time in his hands. Maybe we probably would have thought after his wonder goal at youth team football a few years ago, he would push on similar to Curtis Jones, but just doesn't seem to have made that step up. But do you think, again, do you reiterate what Paul said? Send him out on loan? Do you sell him? Is there something wrong with his attitude? Because it doesn't seem to be an injury issue why he hasn't played games. He's definitely got the talent, but is there something there wrong with the mentality?
Yeah, it's a strange one because a couple of years ago, everyone was excited about him. They were saying he was the next one to step into the first team to get minutes. And then all of a sudden he disappeared. He vanished off the face of the earth. We heard nothing about him at all. Other lads came in instead of him. So maybe there is an attitude issue we don't know about. I went to watch him in I forgot, is it like the Checker Trade Trophy or something it was called, down Port Vale when the under-23s went there. And he was the only one that stood out who could actually play at that level, potentially. But this was like a good 18 months or so ago. I agree with Paul. It's one of them where, is he getting too good? I don't know how he's performed this season in the under-23s, but is he getting too good for that level? Does he need to go out on loan? Because otherwise he'll stagnate and not develop, and then his value won't go any higher. If it's if he's going to get game time, it's a decent club to go to, like we have with a couple of the other lads, send him out on loan. It's not an easy decision to make. I know Klopp's very, very careful when he's choosing lads to go out on loan. I know we sit there and go, he's not going to play, just send him out on loan. But they're very big on, are they mature enough to go to a big man's league? As in, it's not an easy place to go, the Championship or League 1 and 2. It's full pro football. It's not the under-23s. You're playing against 6-foot bruisers at the back. It's completely different. But yeah, it is going to be a case of if it is an attitude issue, it's hard to come back from that. Klopp's very big on, if you haven't got the attitude from day one, I'm not interested. So it could be the case of you're in that pile of go on loan, make a name for yourself, and then we're going to sell you on, mate. Unless his attitude does change.
Who knows? Maybe that's something that we'll see improve with Fabio Carvalho now that he's at Hull. He has Tyler Morton there, knowing that if Tyler does well, he is in the spotlight. If he doesn't perform, then who knows what happens there. But Bojack, you've mentioned there in the comments, unless the player is close to the first team, i.e. Conor Bradley, who's been superb in the last couple of games, it's best to send them out on loan and get them playing experience.
I agree with that.
Yeah, 100%. Just it kind of reiterates what everyone said in terms of just getting minutes. You know, as a young footballer, when we look at young players, and I'm pretty sure the minimum standard that we look at is, you know, if you're a 22-year-old, you should have played 150 games, first team games. And if we're judging players at that age and they haven't broken into first team football at that age, it's difficult for us to kind of build a profile to see if they're actually good enough physically to understand what the mentality is. So it's really difficult for these young players. They need to kind of make that decision, what's best for their career. And we've seen it happen. You know, there's been good examples and there's been bad examples of players leaving Liverpool, going to other clubs. You know, Gerrard's cousin, I forget his name now, Bobby Duncan, I think it was. Yeah. Bobby left, you know, with a bit of a cloud, in a bit of a cloud, and where's his career? And so that's just gone away, isn't it? But then you have players who are relatives of other footballers. Bobby Clark is another one. I'm really interested to see how he does. Kumas, and I'm just going to bring up Alan's comment about this. So I'm going to ask everyone about this as well, whether you think this is actually possible for next year. But someone like Bobby Clark, whose dad was Lee Clark for Newcastle. Obviously, Kumas was Jason Kumas's lad that played at Tranmere. You know, are these type of players who come from kind of football heritage the way forward for what we're looking for, because they have that I don't want to say nepotism, but it's something that they have the step up ability already. They have the guidance of their own dads, haven't played football. But Carter, I guess, you know, I'll come to you, put someone that's slightly younger than the other guys on the stream today. What are your thoughts as someone in that kind of mentality? Is it something that you would do as well?
I think it's quite like interesting now how the academy is going to move forwards, because obviously we have now started to recruit so many, like also external players, like to bring into the academy so many young guys. So I think you will start to see us maybe become a bit more Chelsea-esque, where guys need to go and play and they go out and you see if they're good enough. Because realistically, I think, in my opinion, probably every 3 years, unless you're Man United and you get 6 world-class players come through in the same age group, which never happens, you might have one player who's good enough every 3 years to be properly a part of the squad and integrate themselves. So I think it's good for them to go out, get minutes, and just raise their value. Because especially with, obviously, we've probably all heard the Chelsea FFP, the total, like when you sell an academy player, it's total profit. So yeah, I think it'll be good. It'll be good to send those guys out. And it's just more attractive to other clubs when they do have like a parent who's an agent or someone who's not going to be taking like the mick. So I think it's good for all parties. Go and play games. Like, you think Curtis Jones, if I know he's had injuries, but he could have been playing for us 2 years ago if he'd gone to the Championship and had a proper season and kicked on. It's just, I always felt he just never had the run of games to sort of feel confident. So I think for those guys, I think it's all about going and playing. And then the club can make a decision whether if they're good enough to make the step up, or you sell for like we sold Brad Smith for £10 million somehow or something. Like, you just make a bit of pure profit basically.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm gonna end the stream and ask a question to everyone. And I think this is going to be really, really difficult. But who do you think would be the next player? Let's forget Conor Bradley. Let's mark him out. Do you think, and I'm just thinking, Owen Beck, you got McConnell, you got Bobby Clark, you got Trey Nyoni, I think his name is. He looks really, really exciting. Who do you think the next breakout star is going to be from youth football that's going to go into the first team? And I will start with Dean.
I'm going to say, is it Neone, the striker? I've watched a few games, very intelligent, and to have that intelligence at that age is very impressive. So if he carries on, he will be the next one.
He's only, 16, isn't he? I think 16, 17, and he's already been around the first team, and you know, Klopp likes him so far. So I think there's a really, really good one there, isn't there? Carter, let's go with you, mate. Who do you think the next one's going to be?
I think it might be. Is it the Kumas guy who scored the hat trick the other day? Yeah. I think, or the free kick. I think he's really good. Like, it's just looking at some of those names there. Maybe it's Beck, but also it just still makes me laugh that Jay Spearing plays with the under-21s. I don't know if you guys saw the highlight the other day where someone scored and Jay Spearing passed them the ball, and you just think he's so much older than everyone else. It is just a bit mad.
Yeah, it's just a bit mad. Yeah, he was playing in the Brendan Rodgers days, wasn't he?
Roy Hodgson as well, I think maybe.
Roy Hodgson, yeah, absolutely. FA Cup final when he gave the ball away to Ramirez. I hate that day. Okay, yeah, let's go with that. So we've got Naoni, we've got Kumas. Paul, any ideas who you think would be the next player to break through?
The guy that I'm really excited to see over the next couple of years, if he can avoid all of the injuries, is Ben Doak. He's a talent. I've always liked him for the last year or two. I've noticed him, and I think the Klopp believe that he's very talented. That's why he's kind of been in and around that first team. Ben Doak, and he's fearless. That's the thing I like about him. So Ben Doak is the one that I'm really keeping my eye out on. I know he's right-footed, but he could be the next Salah replacement. I call him the right-footed young Messi. Maybe I'm too excited about him, but I think that guy has some serious talent.
Yeah, he's good. He's good. Hopefully, he'll get over his injury issues. Cade Gordon has just come back, hasn't he? Played yesterday. Did he? But yeah, either way, Cade is one of those players that you hold high hopes for. Before his injury, he was ahead of Ben Doak, wasn't he, in terms of minutes in the first team? So, and he was probably on par with Harvey Elliott at that point. Then got his injury, and you've just seen kind of sliding doors moment between them two. So who knows? There's lots and lots and lots of exciting prospects coming in, but next season we'll see some real exciting prospects. So I just want to say we'll come to the end. It's been a really, really good hour and 10 minutes. I've loved today. It's great to meet you, Carter. Hopefully we'll do another stream together. Dean, Paul, as always, an absolute pleasure. Brave the cold tomorrow, wherever you are. Hopefully the next storm doesn't blow you away. And we'll see you tomorrow for another stream. There's 2 streams tomorrow. As always, we've got the normal 7:30 stream, and then the stateside stream, UK time 2 a.m., 2:30 a.m., something like that. Please, if you're around, if you're awake, give it a watch, and we will see you soon. Have a lovely evening all, and up the Reds.